Hello, everybody. Welcome to the TrueLife News Show today. Finally, the big lawsuit is here, guys. It's finally here. This huge lawsuit, who is coming from a big pit bull, is about to shake the Supreme Court big time, guys. Hear me. Get the popcorn ready. We're about to have a show. Donald Trump and his boy Stephen Miller with America First Legal has just set their first lawsuit against Supreme Court Chief Justice Roberts. The suit demands that the Judicial Conference and the Administrative Office have overstepped their judicial bounds and need to be placed under the oversight of the President of the United States. This would ensure that the judiciary sticks to judging, not politicking, guys. Boom, baby. Stephen Miller, Donald Trump going at it. Why? Because Congress has yet to do nothing. They could have stopped it. Even today, Mike Johnson makes comments and says, yeah, these judges, they keep overstepping. We'll stop them. Well, guess what? Stephen Miller said, you know what? We're just going to bring a lawsuit against the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court for allowing all this rogue judicial propaganda coming from these left-wing judges against the sitting president. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, guys. This is huge. This is the first time in a long time that somebody as big as America First Legal is bringing a lawsuit against the top Supreme Court justice. And this is the first real step by someone who can actually fight toe-to-toe with these rogue judges who are trying to control the sitting president. This is what I'm talking about, guys. Not only that, this is the big one, guys. You ready to see some people go to jail for all this corruption? Representative James Comer revealed that the Epstein Files were stolen and have or been destroyed. I'll say that again, guys. We heard this. Pam Bondi said they were on her desk. James Comer has revealed that the Epstein Files were stolen and or destroyed. Comer said that Bondi would have already released the files if she had them. General Flynn thinks the files are somewhere in a government agency being hidden from Pam Bondi and the FBI. He said, when we find out who did all this, who stole them, they are going to jail. 100%, this is the biggest obstruction of justice in a long, long time, guys. We finally know, you're hearing it first, guys, why they have not been released is because they don't even have them. They don't even have the files. Somebody in the government stole them. And I promise you, guys, when they find them, this will be one of the biggest revealings, exposure of corruption scandals in American history. Because you think it stops there, guys? I'm telling you, this is a big show. I hope you got your popcorn ready. Elon Musk just announced huge corruption in the federal government. He said that Doge has found 100,000 federal workers who committed fraud by applying and actually getting unemployment benefits while they were working in the government. They were getting multiple checks every single week, not only from the work that they were being paid for, but also for unemployment. And because the systems don't track or don't have any accountability, over 100,000 federal workers were doing this, guys. This is literally 5% of the federal workers in the government were collecting unemployment benefits while they worked. This is what Doge found. This is what they tried to cover up, guys. And I'm telling you, this is the beginning. This huge lawsuit from the Supreme Court to the Supreme Court from Stephen Miller and Donald Trump with America First Legal is just the beginning of dismantling the deep state. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, guys. We got a big show of breaking news today. Bombshell news. Want to say thank you to everybody who is watching, guys. Thank you to all of our subscribers and viewers. We couldn't do it without you. Thank you so much for your support. And thank you to everybody. If you're not subscribed, please consider joining our family. We want you here. We want to serve you every day with the top news, guys. And it's free to subscribe. And thank you to everybody that is a member of the channel, helping us to grow our giving every single month. It's all because of you guys. We are making such a difference in all these kids' lives. And I want to say thank you to everybody that's given a super chat donation. Elaine Demeen, thank you so much for your continued support. Y'all show Elaine some love in the chat. Guys, if you don't mind doing us a huge favor of hitting that thumbs up like button, it really does help, guys. We got some breaking news today. I want to go over it one more time. Big lawsuit against the Supreme Court from Donald Trump and Stephen Miller with America First Legal to finally rein back these rogue judges. Representative James Comer has revealed that the Epstein Files have actually been stolen and or destroyed. They don't even have them. So whenever we go, he said whenever they find these people, they're going to jail. And Elon Musk just announced that Doge has found over 100,000 federal workers. That's over 5% of the federal workers who were actually working and receiving unemployment benefits at the same time. This is crazy, guys. We're going to get into it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments.
On the racetrack, journalism got out-jockeyed at the White House.
I want to treat people fairly, whether they voted for me or not. I want to have a unified country. It's very hard because the media is so fake, including, like, even the way you ask questions. Every question is asked in a negative vein. There's a toy company that took a toddler's, whatever. But you don't talk about the fact that gasoline is down at numbers that nobody believes possible.
We try to make sure every question is fair, Mr. President.
Look, every question you ask says a very negative slant.
No, but look, I'm just curious.
I'm fine for responding to you. I don't think you're very difficult at all to respond to be honest with you. But you know what? You should ask some positive things.
No one expects NBC to be a suck-up. It's NBC. But they have to acknowledge some good things are happening. And the fact that they can't do that proves who they're rooting for. And it's not America.
Prices are already going up on some popular items. Tires, strollers.
This is such a dishonest interview already. Prices are down on groceries. Prices are down for oil. Prices are down for all energy. Prices are down at tremendous numbers for gasoline.
Inflation's down across the board since Trump's been reelected. And NBC's cherry-picking two products, but for years gave Joe a pass. Trump gets sworn in and NBC starts checking price tags like a penny pincher at a flea market.
Small businesses say they are being hurt by the Chinese tariffs, and some could be forced to shut down.
And many businesses are being helped.
Are you considering tariff relief for small businesses?
Why do you always mention that, you pick up a couple of little businesses? What about the car business? They're going to make a fortune because of the tariffs. Do you know that the union, the head of the union, who was no fan of mine, Sean Fain, I guess his name is, right? He didn't endorse me. The Teamsters did. A lot of people did. A lot of unions did. But he didn't. He couldn't stand me. Now he's saying, wow, what's Trump's done for the automobile?
Let's
I
go.
can't believe it. He said, we've been waiting 40 years for somebody to do what Trump is doing. So why don't you mention the big car industry instead of mentioning somebody that's doing strollers?
Guys, and again, this is where they're trying to take the focus off, guys. I'm telling you, we have this breaking news that Stephen Miller's America First Legal takes on Chief Justice John Roberts in this bold lawsuit. The suit demands that the Judicial Conference and Administrative Office, accusing of overstepping their judicial bounds, be placed under the rightful presidential oversight, ensuring the judiciary sticks to judging and not politicking. This is what's happening. They're trying to make you focus on strollers and kids' toys when right now we have an attack on our justice system from these rogue judges. But our boy Stephen Miller, Donald Trump are fighting against them. They finally brought this huge, big lawsuit against Supreme Court Justice, Chief Justice John Roberts. And you're going to hear about it in a moment, guys. This is what we voted for. They're coming against us in the courts, but we're coming right back at them.
Worship Barack for bailing out Detroit. Bin Laden's dead. General Motors is alive. That was the Obama-Biden re-election pitch, remember? But now Trump's saving the car business, and he's not even doing it with taxpayer dollars. And the media wants to talk about something else with four wheels, strollers, even though they don't want you to have a baby to push them in. Then Kristen Welker made a confession. She wants the border unsecured.
Border crossings are at their lowest level ever recorded. Is the border?
Is that good?
Is the border now secure?
Yeah, it's really secure. Isn't it a beautiful thing when you say it's the most secure it's ever been in the history of our country? Isn't that a nice statement?
Well, I'm curious to know what it means. You declared a national emergency on the southern border. The order is still in place.
By the way,
even though you're saying
exactly
the border's
what you
secure.
said. It means we have the most secure border we've ever had.
Well, and I guess the question becomes, when will you know that the emergency is over? Are you planning to lift it at some point? Is it necessary? Because obviously the military is involved. Will you lift that emergency?
Welker thinks.
Guys, let me tell you this. If you appreciate the exposure of these left-wing radicals and their crazy ideologies, guys, if you don't mind hitting the thumbs up like button, this right here is what we voted for. We want to expose the craziness and get back to common sense.
The border's too safe. Can we go back to Biden when there was no national emergency and we just let everybody in? Trump's emergency powers are what's keeping the border secured. During the pandemic, they never asked Biden, when are you going to give up your emergency powers? But Trump's only allowed to yield power for what, 100 days? He's fixing things too quickly?
Your Secretary of State says everyone who's here, citizens and non-citizens, deserve due process. Do you agree, Mr. President?
I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know.
Well, the Fifth Amendment says
I don't know.
as
It seems it might say that, but if you're talking about that, then we'd have to have 1 million or 2 million or 3 million trials.
Even given those numbers that you're talking about, don't you need to uphold the Constitution of the United States as president?
I don't know. I have to respond by saying again, I have brilliant lawyers that work for me, and they are going to obviously follow what the Supreme Court said.
NBC took that and said, yep, we told you he's a dictator. They ran this headline. Trump, asked if he has to uphold the Constitution, says, I don't know.
Wow.
New hoax alert. New hoax alert. New hoax alert.
The I don't know hoax. Trump says he's not a lawyer, but his brilliant lawyers are going to follow the orders of the Supreme Court. Get ready to get sick of that hoax. Trump's got a mass deportation mandate. Lower court judges can't let us commit national suicide. Biden let our country get invaded, and the court never stepped in to stop it. Trump was elected to stop the invasion, and now the courts step in. So the invasion doesn't get stopped? No. You can't have a functioning sovereign country if you let millions of people invade, give them lawyers, and squatters' rights.
Guys, and let me tell you this, what you're seeing on the screen now, if they're not trying to obstruct justice, if they're not trying to stop Trump right now, this broke this morning. Congressman reveals that Epstein files have been destroyed. Are you kidding me? What we wanted, the transparency that we wanted when it came to this horrible person and what he did in trafficking women and doing all this stuff, which we know with big celebrities, politicians, and elected officials where there was so much corruption, and now we're finally figuring out the Epstein files have been destroyed and or stolen. We do know that Comer said as soon as we catch these people, we will put their butts in jail. But this just shows you guys that they are willing to do whatever it takes to cover up the corruption, the scandal, the fraud, the waste, and abuse. And that's why it's so important that we keep fighting, stay away from these hoaxes, and support Trump in making sure the agenda gets completed. Let me know your thoughts in the comments.
20 million migrant trials? It took Diddy almost a year before jury selection. But Welker wasn't finished.
What do you say to those who believe you are taking the country down an authoritarian path?
Well, there you go again. Why don't you ask it a different way? Many people wanted to come into our country. Many people love Trump. I won the election. They didn't win the election. I got a lot more votes than they did. I think there was a lot of hanky-panky going on, but it was too big to rig. That's the good news. It's too big to rig. But let me just say, so when you make these statements about people say this, well, you know, they had their chance at the election and they lost big. So you should ask the question differently. You should say, what about the people that want to be in this country? What about the people that love this country?
When journalists pretend they're not biased, they're obviously lying. And that proves their bias. But they're not just biased against Trump. They're biased against the country.
Yep.
Welker then said, all right, let's cut to the chase. You're running for a third term, right?
Are you seriously considering a third term, Mr. President, even though it's prohibited by the Constitution? Or is this about staying politically viable?
I will say this. So many people want me to do it. I have never had requests so strong as that. But it's something that, to the best of my knowledge, you're not allowed to do. I don't know if that's constitutional that they're not allowing you to do it or anything else, but there are many people selling the 2028 hat. But this is not something I'm looking to do. I'm looking to have 4 great years and turn it over to somebody.
Let's go.
It feels like the media really wants Trump to run again, doesn't it? Just so they can say, see, we told you he's Mussolini. They want to be right so badly, the Democrats are begging for Trump to throw them in jail. AOC says, handcuff me, Homan.
He was going to threaten to refer me to DOJ because I'm using my free speech rights in order to advise people of their constitutionally guaranteed protections. And he may want to do it again today. And to that I say, come for me. You're going to have to come for me.
AOC has a persecution fetish. She wants to be a political prisoner so badly for the attention so that she can be right about Trump for once and the mugshot. That mugshot helped Trump win the White House.
Yes, it
and
did.
AOC has her eye on the prize. Trump should just arrest her just to make her the nominee so Vance or whoever can smoke her. Hollywood says Trump's going to destroy the world. Here's Sean Penn.
I do think it's a reasonable theory that Donald Trump is not unlike the spouse of someone who leaves him perhaps for another, who then murders their former partner because if they can't have her, nobody can. And I think Donald Trump in his solipsism may have that relationship with the world, and that this destruction is in part a power play and also a literal intention of his final out. I think he might try to destroy the world before he ages out of life.
Wow.
Trump's making peace.
Guys, let me show you this because, again, too, it's all about the context. You have these rogue judges. Judge Jamal Whitehead orders. Listen to this. He orders the Trump administration to accept 12,000 refugees. Oh, and by the way, he was a Biden pick. This is what happened under Biden. Let in all these people, unvetted, unvaxxed, no DNA tests, have no idea what was coming into our country when it came to anybody because we just didn't vet them. We gave them sheets of paper. We told them to show up in court 6 to 7 years from now. And guess what? Most of them don't even show up to court. But this is now getting to the point of why the America First Legal has filed the lawsuit against Supreme Court Chief Justice Roberts because of things like this. They're trying to control a sitting president. There's over 800 federal judges across the United States. And guess what? They're trying to make sure that whoever they're trying to take care of gets taken care of, but they're trying to dismantle our judicial system. And I'm so glad we finally got this huge lawsuit against the Supreme Court.
In Europe and in the Middle East. Sean Penn 20 years ago would have had a MAGA hat, probably with a cigarette stuck to his lip, obviously. They said the world was going to end 8 years ago when Trump got elected, and now it's going to end again. And the world was going to end from global warming too. But guess what? Antarctica gained ice for the first time in decades. Look at that. Gore said the ice sheets would be gone. And NBC says the FBI director's popping bottles with models in the club. Except he's not.
Let's circle back to a segment from Friday's show. Frank Figliuzzi was on that morning during this hour discussing the work of administration officials. At the end of that segment, Figliuzzi said that FBI Director Kash Patel has reportedly been more visible at nightclubs than at his office at FBI headquarters. This was in a statement. We have not verified that claim.
Not a great weekend for journalism. The other big scandal this weekend, Trump posted a picture of himself as the Pope.
Some Catholics were not so happy about the image of you looking like the Pope.
Oh, I see. You mean they can't take a joke? You don't mean the Catholics. You mean the fake news media. Not the Catholics loved it. I had nothing to do with it. Somebody made up a picture of me dressed like the Pope, and they put it out on the internet. That's not me that did it. I have no idea where it came from. Maybe it was AI, but I know nothing about it. I just saw it last evening. Actually, my wife thought it was cute. She said, "Isn't that nice?" I think it's the fake news media that, you know, they're fakers.
Guys,
Melania thought Trump looked cute as Pope.
you know what I love, though? what I love is that whenever it came to this image that you're seeing on the screen, I don't remember anybody getting as upset as they are at what somebody made up of a joke of Trump as Pope. Whenever they mocked during the Olympics the entire Last Supper of trying against all the Christians. Let me know your thoughts, guys, because this is the stuff they like to pick and choose. As long as it's on their woke agenda, then it's okay to mock Christianity. But whenever it comes to something like what Trump said that somebody did, oh, you can't do that. Oh, that's wrong. This is what I love to expose the hypocrisy, but what I love to do is show you the context. These people are such hypocrites. If you appreciate this, guys, if you don't mind hitting the thumbs up like button, thank you so much for your support.
Now that is love. Yesterday, the White House posted a juiced up photo of 47 with a red lightsaber. May the 4th be with you. Happy May 4th to all the radical left lunatics who are fighting so hard to bring Sith lords, murderers, drug lords, dangerous prisoners, and well-known MS-13 gang members back into our galaxy. You're not the rebellion, you're the empire. Trump has a special place for him. He's bringing back Alcatraz.
It represents something very strong, very powerful in terms of law and order. Our country needs law and order. Alcatraz is, I would say, the ultimate, right? Alcatraz, Sing Sing and Alcatraz, the movies. But it's right now a museum, believe it or not. A lot of people go there. It housed the most violent criminals in the world, and nobody ever escaped. One person almost got there, but they, as you know the story, they found his clothing rather badly ripped up. And it was a lot of shark bites, a lot of problems. Nobody's ever escaped from Alcatraz.
The media and the Democrats woke up today and were forced to talk about Alcatraz. Please don't send foreign criminals to Alcatraz. You see what Trump's making them do? They look loony. And he looks like a creative problem solver. Trump's even solving a problem for balls in the White House.
You're going to make and build a ballroom which they've wanted for probably 100 years at the White House. And it'll be a world-class, beautiful ballroom.
A ballroom that could cost millions of dollars. He says he will pay for it himself.
Let's go.
I'm not going to ask the government for money.
Would a dictator do that? I don't think so. Biden built a new Situation Room, made you pay for it, and then when they found the cocaine, blamed the construction workers. Trump's hoping to get that ballroom built soon because the NFL draft is coming to D.C.
I'm pleased to reveal that the 2027 NFL draft, that's a big thing, will be held right here in our nation's capital, Washington, D.C., on the National Mall. And you get a little glimpse of it. I was just saying to Roger, I don't think there's ever been anything like that. That's a good idea. In fact, maybe we could use it for other things also. I have an idea. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be something that nobody else will ever be able to duplicate that, I don't suspect.
Guys, let me tell you this. Right here, if this is not what is shaking America, it's going to shake America so much. Stephen Miller's America First Legal has taken on Chief Justice Roberts in a bold lawsuit. This is the first actual big toe-to-toe lawsuit with the Supreme Court over these rogue justices, which you're about to hear the details in a moment. The suit demands that the Judicial Conference and Administrative Office, who are accused of overstepping their judicial bounds, be placed under the rightful presidential oversight, ensuring the judiciary sticks to judging, not politicking. Guys, if this isn't the biggest lawsuit ever, it's coming from Stephen Miller. This is one of Trump's big pit bulls who can fight the fight, talk the talk, knows what he knows at the highest level, guys. This dude is now putting the first biggest lawsuit against Chief Justice Roberts for allowing these rogue judges to run free and try to control a sitting president. And what I love is he's got somebody on the inside, guys, of our boy, Josh Hawley, who's a pit bull himself, who's going to help take it to the next level and keep it going, guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Check this out.
Gordon said he can't do it. He can't get there because of January 6th. Can you just give folks a overview of what's happening over there, sir?
What Yeah, sure. But it's great to be with you, by the way. Thanks always for having me. Thanks. I think the situation is this. You've got a number of Republicans who don't want to vote on Ed Martin. And this is the president's nominee, obviously, to be the U.S. Attorney in the District of Columbia. I just want to say I've known Ed for years. He's a Missouri guy. So I've known him and his family for years and years and years. I obviously support him. I look forward to voting on him. And I hope we get to a vote, Steve. I mean, my view is that if we vote on him, he will pass. He will pass in the committee. I believe he will pass on the floor of the Senate. And you know as well as I do, getting a strong U.S. attorney in the district is vital. The district is a cesspool. It is a crime wave every single day. Ed knows how to clean that up. And really, I think we're seeing more opposition to the president's pick. I mean, this is no senator nominated Ed Martin. This is the president's pick. And that's my message to my colleagues. Let's vote on him. Let's pass him.
You know, Ed was the wingman for Phyllis Schlafly, one of the true greats in our country in the conservative movement. And as an American, I mean, what she did is monumental. Ed was there, worked with him for years. Senator Hawley, I think this is what has our audience confused, because we had guys from Heritage on yesterday. All day we were on this Ed Martin thing. The president, this is not. There's so much going on. We understand that, but the president comes out yesterday, put a true social. He worked the phones. He talked to Tillis for hours. This is something that is vital, important. Like the two U.S. attorneys that matter right now are Southern District of New York and D.C. Given that the president's all in on this, the White House is all in on this. People that are big supporters of the president, like Senator Josh Hawley of Missouri, are all in on this. How can we have, just even showing the Democrats of the nation that we're not united, how can that happen?
Well, and this is why I think we are going to get to a vote and he is going to pass. I just don't see how he doesn't, to be honest with you, Steve, because the president, and you mentioned this last night, the president made it crystal clear publicly that Ed Martin is top priority for him because the District of Columbia being safe is top priority. I mean, right now, you know this.
Guys, and I want to bring you some context, guys. You have to know this. The reason why getting Ed Martin in there is because the Boasberg, one of the federal district judges in D.C., Boasberg, is literally taking all the cases that are supposed to go against Trump, all the lawsuits, all the things like that, and 100% trying to control them in a negative fashion towards Trump. So Trump wants his own guy to get in there and bring common sense and level the playing field when it comes to the DC judges so that we stop having such a biased left-wing judge trying to control all the lawsuits that get put on the emergency docket, get sent to the Supreme Court. And this is a huge deal. Like you said, top priority for Trump.
As I do, you cannot go out on the streets in the district and not fear for your life. I've got staffers in my office literally who've been shot. I've got constituents when they visit D.C., they say, is it safe for us? And I have to tell them, honestly, I don't know that it really is. This is our nation's capital. It ought to be the cleanest. It ought to be the safest. It ought to be the best place to visit in our country because it represents what our country is about. And our own citizens can't come here without fear of their lives. It's ridiculous. We need a U.S. attorney who's going to go after the crime and clean up the city, especially in front of our 250 celebration next year. Ed is the right guy to do that. He's the president's choice. And I would just say to my fellow Republicans on the committee, and listen, I'm not saying anything to you. I haven't said to them privately, personally, give this guy a shot. Meet with him. Talk to him about what he's going to do in the office. Talk to the president. I think when that happens, he is going to pass the committee. I just don't see how he doesn't.
Sir, let's go to other issues because it seems like you understand the president's agenda to focus on working class and middle class folks and to make sure that we try to have an economic path where they can, have a shot and have a level playing field. I notice, and I want to talk about this new bill, you're working on a bunch of stuff up there that hits to the heart of what populism, what economic nationalism is. It's what the president talks about all the time. But I notice a lot of times you're having to partner with Democrats. Tell us about this, about going after big pharma in this new bill. But I see this over and over and over again. And the question our audience has is, what's the problem with the other Republicans that the president has put his shoulder to the wheel to get them in? Senator Hawley.
You know, we need more Republican populists in the United States Senate. We need more Republican populists in Congress. We need them to support things like my new prescription drug bill. Here's what it does, Steve. It caps the price of prescription drugs in the United States of America, period.
Let's go.
Here's how it caps it. It says that what these big pharma companies charge overseas in Europe and in Canada, whatever that price is, That's what they ought to be charging Americans. Right now, in my home state of Missouri, we are getting charged 2 and 3 and sometimes 4 times as much for the same drugs that Big Pharma is selling in France and Italy and Canada and wherever else. It is ridiculous.
Guys, if you appreciate the exposing of just all this corruption, if you don't mind hitting that thumbs up like button, this right here is what I love. We're exposing the fraud. They want to charge other countries 2 to 3 times less than us just because they know the federal government will step in to subsidize increasing our national debt, but it's all a big lobbyist corruption.
We are paying in the United States of America, we are paying for everybody else's drugs worldwide.
Yep.
Big Pharma knows it. They are lining their pockets with our taxpayers' dollars. It is outrageous. So what we ought to do is what the president proposed. By the way, Steve, this is the president's idea. He proposed this in his first term. We ought to write it into law. No more ripoffs from Big Pharma. But to your point, my co-sponsor is a Democrat, Peter Welch, great guy. I'm delighted to partner with him on this. Man, I'd love to have some Republicans. You know, I mean, where are the Republicans? We need them to stand up for the president's working class agenda.
Is it because there's too much Big Pharma lobby money? I mean, what's the reason? Because
right there,
it's the
guys.
president's idea. You've put it into a bill. It makes total sense. People support it. They love it. But you can't get co-sponsorship from Republicans. Why is that?
I think 2 things. Number 1 is the money. Yeah, Big Pharma has enormous amounts of money. And let's just be honest. Big Pharma has bankrolled so many of these political action committees. They're dark money. You talk about the dark money kings. Big Pharma on the Republican side is probably the king of dark money, and they have poured it into the coffers of Republicans, including Republican leaders. So that's a huge, huge problem. And some of it, Steve, is ideological. I mean, it's sad to say, but much of the party among elected leaders in Congress is still trapped in the past. They're still trapped in this idea that whatever big business wants, big business should get. And somehow that's what we're about as Republicans. That's not what we're about as Republicans. We're about working people. We're about working families. We're about making this nation the greatest it can be and putting Americans first. That doesn't mean multinational corporations first. And we got to make that switch. It's got to be America first, not big business first. If big business wants to do something good for America, terrific. We're for that. But right now, pharma is gouging Americans. They're putting America last. They're putting their profits first. We got to do something about that.
Guys, and let me tell you this, what you're seeing on the screen, what I'm about to show you next, this is going down right now in Congress. You're about to see Jim Jordan, a pit bull, go at it. There's people that need to be put in jail. There's people that are trying to control our sitting Congress. But now that we know from Representative Comer that the Epstein Files have been destroyed and or stolen, that we know that people are trying to cover up the scandals at the highest level. What we are seeing is that they don't care. They're doing everything that they can. These lobbyists that spend hundreds of millions of dollars to billions of dollars a year to control Congress, they're getting exposed. All these top officials, these elected officials, these politicians, these celebrities that were involved with the Epstein issues and all that, they're going to be exposed. And look, now, this is why they haven't been released. But what I'm about to show you next is what I love. It's accountability in Congress, not being afraid to call people out and say the truth, what the truth actually is. Check this out.
Mr. Pertel, any idea how many inmates in federal prison are not U.S. citizens?
I actually do not know that, sir. I'm sorry.
Mr. Potter, do you have hazard a guess or no?
I do not know.
Mr. Wild?
I do not know.
Mr. Milton?
No, sir.
Well, I think you all testified there's staff shortages. The gentleman from New York just talked about staff shortages. Maybe if there weren't 24,000 federal inmates who are not U.S. citizens, maybe we wouldn't have a staff shortage. Maybe if the administration before this one hadn't just released into the country people who came here illegally and actually detained them, they wouldn't have committed some of these crimes and wouldn't be in federal prison. You think maybe that would help with the situation on staffing that you all brought up, that the gentleman from New York just raised? Mr. Petrell, I'll start with you.
No, I do, sir. And I'm assuming that most of those are under an immigration detainer for when they do come out.
I don't know about most of them, but that's a question I'd have too. Do you understand that? Are they under a detainer when they're released, that at least ICE will have the ability to go? They're not just going to be released into the country.
That's my assumption, but I do not know those numbers.
Mr. Potter, do you know if that's actually the case with these 24,584 Bureau of Prison inmates are not U.S. citizens? You know what percentage that represents of the federal inmate population?
No, I do not.
16%.
Holy moly.
Maybe we wouldn't have a staff shortage if this would have been dealt with in the previous administration. This is something President Trump is trying to deal with going forward. 16%. Do you know if there are detainers for these individuals who would be subject to that currently going on currently, Mr. Potter?
No, I don't know.
Mr. Wild?
I don't know.
Mr. Milton? Any idea?
No, sir.
Well, what we do know is what happened a few years back. I think goes clear back to the Obama administration. I sent a detainer to the Board of Prisons, or Bureau of Prisons, excuse me, regarding the individual who wound up killing Kate Steinle. So many of you remember this situation. The BOP didn't honor that, instead released this individual to San Francisco, to law enforcement there, who then, to the jurisdiction there, who then released this guy to the streets, who wound up killing Kate Steinle.
Wow.
So I think this is something that we should look at here, this huge part of the population in our federal prison who are not citizens. And again, I appreciate the work. We've known about prison fellowship for forever and the good work you all do. We appreciate the work you're doing with inmates. But I think this is one area where we could make some change. And again, I think the Trump administration is seeking to do that, and certainly not following, well, we're not having near the migrants come to the border now that were coming in the previous administration, but certainly not releasing people into the country like was done before, which then gave the opportunity for this situation to happen with some of these individuals. Any comments on that? Mr. Potter.
I think they may help situation, but I think restoring collective bargaining unit rights is an important issue. Treating people like professionals is also important. So do I think it'll solve the staffing problem? I don't think it'll solve the staffing problem. I think there's a systematic issue here. Mm-hmm. And I think when it comes to how you value the people that work there and how they feel valued is what's going to keep them there.
Fair enough.
Guys, let me tell you this. People keep fighting for the wrong things. Right here, breaking, Judge Jamal Whitehead has ordered the Trump administration to accept 12,000 refugees. This is a Biden pick. Trump said no more refugees. We got to figure out who's here in America. We got to deport the illegals, and we got to make sure that we have a safe country. And look at this. This is what happened under the Biden administration. And now this federal judge is now ordering Trump, you better let these people in. Where are we at in America where a sitting judge thinks that they can control a sitting president? That's where we're at right now. What you're about to see next, one of the other pit bulls in our Congress who is fighting, guys, fighting like crazy to make sure that we expose all this craziness of them trying to control a sitting president and what's happening behind the scenes. Because I'm telling you, I do not trust Mike Johnson as far as I could throw him. Listen to this, guys, because we're not getting things done that should be getting done. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Check this out.
DG, really good to have you, my friend. So tell us, I woke up, I read that, and you're upset. Tell us what you're upset about.
Well, that's a message that resonated with everyone that I know and everyone that I've been talking to, and by the comments all over every single social media platform where my post was posted. The base agrees. You see, the November 2024 election was historic. It was a mandate. And it was also a hard shot and clear message to the Republican Party that you didn't win this election. President Trump won this election. His MAGA policies won this election. And I would also argue MAHA policies won that election. So the electorate that gave the Republicans the majority in the House and the Senate want the agenda accomplished, and it's not happening. And Eric, when I'm frustrated, I can tell you it's an early indicator of what's to come. And I felt it was very important to get out in front and make that message clear.
So tell us, MTG, may I call you you MTG. I'll call you Congresswoman, but we're close friends. I'm not being disrespectful. I adore you, and I love what you're doing, and your constituents adore you too. What specifically are you upset and the base is upset about?
Yeah, there's some big ones, and I think everyone needs to understand. In Joe Biden's first 100 days, Nancy Pelosi sent 11 bills to his desk in that first 100 days, and one of them included their reconciliation bill, and they had virtually almost the same margins that we have in the House and the Senate, but they got the job done. In President Trump's first 100 days, we only sent 5 bills to his desk, and that included a Biden Democrat CR. Not our reconciliation. That's just one of many things. President Trump has written more historic executive orders than Joe Biden did in 4 years, and we aren't voting on those every single week here in the House, and we should be.
Which we could, guys, because I'm going to show you what's happening next. Just like she said, whenever it was Biden in his first 100 days, they got over 10 bills signed by him. They had a reconciliation bill done. What has the Republicans done? 5 bills and a Biden-Harris CR. All we did was just extend the spending that Biden-Harris was doing. And that's why a lot of these Republicans are coming out and saying, look, what the heck's going on? We're supposed to be putting America first, cutting spending, putting America first when it comes to our policies, and Mike Johnson is not getting it done.
The American people want to see us voting and passing his executive orders, because those executive orders that we support are only temporary unless we codify them into law. But let's go even further, Eric. We're looking at DOGE cuts, and DOGE is one of the most patriotic, important things that are happening today, and we should be passing those rescissions through the House and the Senate. And yes, they can go through because they only require 51 votes in the Senate, and so does reconciliation. But I want to go a step further, Eric, because there's big issues that the American people care about. One of them is Ukraine. We don't want to be tied into a never-ending funding situation with a mineral deal, because we've been down that road before. In Iraq, it wasn't oil in the Middle East that made us rich. We're $36 trillion in debt. It wasn't rare earth minerals in Afghanistan that made America rich. Those were abandoned when Biden pulled out of Afghanistan. And now being tied into a deal that we don't support in Ukraine is a huge disappointment. But if you read the language of the agreement, we're now responsible for the safety, the prosperity, and the reconstruction of Ukraine. And America didn't bomb Ukraine.
Wow.
As a matter of fact, we've been against that war pretty much from day one.
The security, the prosperity, and the reconstruction of Ukraine. We're going to be in Ukraine for a long time, guys. Dang it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you appreciate this, guys, if you don't mind hitting the thumbs up like button, this is what's actually going on.
So it's no more foreign wars we're not interested in. And then let's do something about COVID, Eric. The COVID vaccine is still on the childhood vaccine schedule. This is something that has moms and dads furious, and they are demanding that vaccine get pulled off the childhood vaccine schedule because their children shouldn't be required to take that vaccine in order to go to school, and many other issues.
I don't mean to interrupt, but I want to, the first one, let's talk about it. And it really is important to get these executive orders codified. Why aren't they? Is it Speaker Johnson? He's not bringing. You have the House, you have the Senate. I mean, if you want to really scare the out of people, you got 18 months, 20 months, and after that, you risk not having the House and the Senate, and you risk Trump's full agenda. You have to get all of this through in the next 20 months. I mean, where's the holdup?
Well, President Trump isn't on the ballot in 2026, and my Republican Party colleagues seem to not understand what that really means. And I'll be real honest with you. I'm going to point fingers at everyone. You know, I went to more rallies with President Trump, campaigning with him, supporting him, and I know what the American people stood up cheering for with tears streaming down their face. And that's Agenda 47. That's the agenda that he laid out. That's the agenda that he was campaigning on when he was shot in the ear in Butler, Pennsylvania, and almost assassinated in front of the entire world. And many of my Republicans here in Congress never went to a single one of those rallies. Many of my Republicans here in Congress didn't support him after the 2020 election, didn't support him after January 6th like I did. I never left his side. And I told everyone that he is our president and he will be our president again. So you see, the message that the American people sent seems to get lost here in Washington, D.C. And, you know, I think it should be like this, Eric. I think we put those executive orders to the floor and we dare Republicans to vote against them. Because you know what's brewing up right now? Primary season. And this gives every Republican voter across the country a good look at their representative to decide, does this person represent what I voted for? And if they don't, they have a chance to change that. And that's the way elections work.
Guys, let me tell you this. If we're not seeing history in the making, if we're not seeing the exposure of all this corruption, what you are seeing on screen, guys, you cannot make this up. This is why they didn't want us to audit or investigate with the Doge team. Elon Musk just announced Doge found 100,000 federal workers who committed fraud by applying for and got unemployment benefits while they worked. So you tell me, is this not this is 5% of the federal government's workers, because there's 2 million. Over 100,000 were found not only they were getting paid with their paycheck, but they were also collecting unemployment benefits that should have been going to somebody else that truly needed it. Hearing it from his voice himself.
We've actually found there's a lot of people who are federal government employees, they're active employees who nonetheless applied for and have received unemployment insurance.
While they're federal employees?
Yes.
Wow.
And this appears to be at least 100,000 people.
Wow.
100,000 people. All these people, let me know in the comments, should they go to jail? Should they be held accountable for this fraud of actually being a federal worker and being one to abuse the system like they have been? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, but listen to this, guys, because I'm telling you, we're supposed to be seeing some big stuff this week from Mike Johnson. You tell me what you think.
President Trump, after the inauguration, and Republicans have taken our job very seriously. We haven't wasted a moment. We all celebrated the first 100 days of the Trump administration and all the extraordinary things that have been accomplished in such a short period of time. And we've been working around the clock to codify so much of what President Trump has been doing. I think there's 143 executive orders that have been issued thus far, and we're working around the clock to make sure that we put these into statutory law so that it can't be reversed and erased by an upcoming administration. For some reason, the media acts like that this effort is somehow a negative thing. It's not at all. Anybody who says that, they just fundamentally misunderstand the relationship between congressional Republicans and President Trump and his administration. We all ran on the same America First agenda: secure the border, cut taxes for working families, revive American energy production, strengthen our standing on the world stage, and bring back common sense. Those are the sort of the common themes of all these executive orders and the action the administration has taken. And this agenda, remember, was resoundingly endorsed by 77 million Americans who voted in the popular vote for the president, and almost as many for House Republicans. We set a record for that. It's the most diverse and expansive coalition we've seen in modern history. A real and true demographic shift. And the reason people voted that way is that they had this sort of hopeful anticipation that the president and Republicans in Congress would do exactly what we are doing right now. And we are fulfilling that promise. We already have the formula for prosperity and security, and that's the thing about President Trump. It's not an unknown entity. As we've all recounted many times, he's done it once, he'll do it again. We plan to work together to enshrine the agenda into law and make sure we have a roaring American economy and stability and security and prosperity and strength again. From day one, President Trump has used his executive authority to reverse also the devastating policies of the last administration. There was a lot of that to be done. But as the previous administration made it painfully clear, executive orders can be undone and overwritten, and that's why we have to move it through the legislative process. And we are. Here's a few key examples, okay, of what we've already voted to codify in terms of the executive orders. The President's Election Security Executive Order through the SAVE Act. That's what we voted on and got that done in the House. His executive order banning men from women's sports. We did that through the Women and Girls in Sports Act. His sanctions on the ICC. We did that through our Illegitimate Court Counteraction Act to support our ally Israel. and his Forest Management Executive Order through Fix Our Forests Act. Some of the things we've done so far. Now, this week, we'll add another one to the list. We're going to pass Marjorie Taylor Greene's bill to permanently rename the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America.
Gulf of America,
and then we're going to codify dozens more of President Trump's budget-related executive orders, spending-related executive orders through the budget reconciliation process. Let me give you just a quick word on that, and then we'll take some questions. As Leader Scalise just recounted, we're really excited. We're very encouraged this morning. I mean, I'm so thankful to have such a team that's worked so hard. I began the House Republican Conference meeting this morning with all the House Republicans by congratulating and thanking all of our committee chairs. I mean, they worked so hard around the clock, and we've been doing this for almost a year, as we've said.
They worked hard around the clock while Congress just got back from a 2-week vacation, and so did the Senate. Guys, this is what makes me so mad, is that the people that we elect to go and do the dang job, what they do is they hire all these staffers, they tell the staffers what to do, the staffers actually are the ones who are doing the job, and then they come back, bring it to them, and then they vote on it. Not ever really knowing what was put into the system. They may read it, they may look over it once, but they really never got in there and put their own pen to paper to help bring it to life. This is what makes me so upset about this people, that they come up there and they try to say, oh yeah, we're getting it done. No, your staffers are getting it done, and all you're doing is putting a vote, but you just got back from a 2-week vacation while Trump was working with his cabinet, actually getting things done.
Many times in here. And all the committee members who were so disciplined in getting the work done. I mean, they had 10, 12-hour hearings in some of these committees, some even longer, and they got the product done and through the process. So by the end of this week, we'll have 8 of the 11 committees of jurisdiction will have done their work. And then next week, we will have Ways and Means, Energy and Commerce, and Ag. And some of you reported, or some of your outlets reported anyway, over the weekend that this was somehow a snag in the process, that those 3 committees were going next week instead of this week. But as I've explained to a few of you individually, I'll just say here together in the room, we went last Thursday to the White House, as the leader mentioned. Steve Scalise and I and Chairman Guthrie and Chairman Smith met in the White House with the president and his whole team on point. We had Secretary Bessent there from Treasury. We had Russ Vogt from Office of Management and Budget. We had his whole Leg Affairs team, and Susie Wiles, the Chief of Staff, and Stephen Miller, and the whole group. And the intention was to work through some of the final details, but we realized that we were still awaiting some key numbers on calculations on some of the provisions with tax and some of the other details. And it just made sense for us to push pause for a week to make sure that we do this right. We didn't want to move this quickly, speed for the sake of speed. We want to get it right. And so everybody in
the way that you get it right, guys, is not by taking a 2-week vacation. This right here is just blowing up, guys, because for the first time ever, we have Stephen Miller, his American First Legal, takes on Chief Justice John Roberts in a bold lawsuit. Trump's cabinet team is doing what they're supposed to be doing. These rogue judges have been trying to control a sitting president, so Stephen Miller, one of his pit bulls, steps in and says, you know what? We're going to step in, we're going to bring a lawsuit against the Chief Justice, and we're going to have them actually be put in the right place and stop politicking with all these rogue judges putting out these TROs trying to control a sitting president. This is action. This is what we want. But what we're seeing from a lot of these Congress people, they're not doing anything. But what you're about to see now is actual action from somebody on Trump's cabinet team to get things done. Check this out.
Security Secretary Kristi Noem. Secretary, great to have you. Thank you. Let's talk about this new idea, this new program. I had actually thought of it way back on my own. Why don't we give them a way to self-deport, and then they might one day have a chance to come back? And you decided to sweeten the pot a little bit, but the amount of savings will be massive. Tell us about the whole program and the savings.
Yeah, absolutely. These illegal aliens that are in our country have the opportunity to go on the CBP Home app, and we will facilitate them finding their way back to their countries. We will pay for their plane ticket. When they get there, we will verify they are who they said they are and that they are, in fact, back home. And then they will be paid $1,000 as an incentive to go there and to be able to help facilitate their housing or their clothing or their food for the period of time that they're back in their country until they can get themselves settled. And listen, Sean,
guys, let me tell you this. It doesn't even make sense. Over 20 million came into the country illegally. As soon as they got in, there was NGOs at the border handing them taxpayer benefit forms. So they started getting Medicare, SNAP, food assistance, housing assistance. They were given cell phones, free internet, all this stuff, guys. Over $3,483 worth of benefits just like that. Then we're trying to deport them and we're fighting all these rogue judges. So then we're finding out that it's costing us about $17,000 per illegal to get them out. And then they say, you know what? Why don't we have them self-deport and then we'll give them $1,000 when they get to their home. And by doing that, we're spending only about $4,500 per illegal to get them out of here, saving us, about $12,500. But isn't it crazy? We gave them benefits when they came in and now we got to pay them to leave. Let me know your thoughts in the comments.
That's really what this whole situation is about. We spend about $17,000 arresting, detaining, and deporting an illegal alien right now today. If we have the opportunity to purchase a plane ticket and send someone home with a stipend like this, it saves us thousands and thousands of dollars. And it also is a much safer situation for officers and for those in communities. And it gives that illegal an opportunity to come back to the United States of America. Remember, if they wait until we arrest them and deport them, they don't ever get the chance to come back to the United States. They don't ever get a chance at the American dream. So those individuals that are here illegally need to realize this is their opportunity to do things the right way.
I don't think people fully grasp or understand the costs associated with illegal immigration. Texas just started keeping records. On health care alone, they are spending tens and tens of billions of dollars.
Billions.
The state of California, hundreds of billions of dollars over the years, health care for illegal immigrants. I don't know why the taxpayers seem to be willing to put up with it, but it's also impacting the educational system, the criminal justice system. It's putting ICE agents at risk, and we have to pay to hire these agents to track them down, find them, and then deport them and then put them through a legal system. So, I mean, do you have any expectations how many people will be signing up for this?
I expect that tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people would be able to take advantage of this program. And listen, the Biden administration perverted every single government program there is in order to facilitate the invasion that happened over our border. They gave them free housing, free food, free child care. They gave them free medical care. They treated them better than they treated American citizens. And they jeopardized our community's safety by allowing these folks that are dangerous criminals into our communities. And Sean, every day they're here, they're getting more and more dangerous. Yep. They're recruiting more members. They're getting stronger. They're getting more set into their ways and facilitating more of this violent activity. I just wish CNN would spend a little bit of time talking to Laken Riley's mother. I wonder when the last time is that they did an interview with those individuals, with Jocelyn's parents. So when's the last time that they actually interviewed a victim? And that's another thing that the Biden administration did, is they actually shut down the one office within ICE, within the federal government, that was there to support victims of illegal criminal activity, the Voices office. We just reopened that so that these families, these angel moms, can have a resource to really help them get some comfort, get some information on the crimes that perpetuated against their families. It really is a shame what the Biden administration did to destroy America.
Wow.
Let me get your reaction, Tom Homan, referring Congresswoman AOC to the Justice Department. She had a webinar, Know Your Rights, and as part of it recommended that illegal immigrants ask for warrants, deploy phones to record ICE searches, tips on how to differentiate between ICE people and others. Is this what you see, and I'm sure you've looked at it, is this aiding and abetting in your view?
I think the Department of Justice absolutely should look into this situation. We've seen not just those that serve in public office be willing to break the law to facilitate the invasion that has happened and allow criminals to stay here. We've also seen judges take radical action to help protect these criminals. It's time that we stand for what's right. The American people are sick of these people abusing our system to try to promote an agenda. And remember, The Democrats are using fear to control people.
Yep.
They're out there motivating people by fear, and they're standing alongside known terrorists in order to endanger our future. So I think it's entirely appropriate that the
guys, it's about dang time, because look, it's only gonna get worse, guys. When you see right here that the congressman finally reveals why we haven't seen the Epstein files, because they've been destroyed, because they've been stolen. That's how far these people that are corrupt, that are fraudulent, guys, are willing to go to protect themselves. That's why we haven't seen anything. Everybody's been wondering, what's happened? What's happened? Well, now we know. All these things having to do with the RFK files, the JFK files, the Epstein files, they're all stolen. So when we look at trying to get the truth and expose it, that's what's making it so hard. But that's why, guys, some of these people, we just got to put them in jail, set the precedence. This is not going to happen anymore in the future. I want to say thank you to all of our subscribers, guys, all of our viewers who are watching. I want to say thank you so much for your support. If you're not subscribed, please consider joining our family here at TrueLife News. We want to serve you every day with the top news. Remember, Monday through Friday, 2 shows a day, one on Saturday, one on Sunday. We love it that you are supporting us, watching us. If you don't mind doing us a huge favor of hitting that thumbs up like button. And thank you so much, guys, when y'all share the video. I got to get some love, guys, because remember, when you donate to the channel when you're a member, or if you give a super chat or gift membership, we take this money, and on the 22nd of every single month, we donate live on the stream, guys. And I'm so thankful that in the past 7 months, we've been able to donate over $33,000 live on stream with your support. We are showing you that this channel is more than reporting the news. We are making a difference. And I want to give some love to Fred Samuel, Stephen Morgan, Donna, Scott Matthews, and guys, give it up for What's New. Show What's New some love in the chat. Have gifted 20 True Life News memberships. If you got a free membership from What's New, show What's New some love in the chat. Thank you so much, Lay Lewis, for the super chat. And Alice Guerrero, Nancy, guys, show them some love in the chat. We love you so much, appreciate you. Remember, we're here to serve you with the breaking news every single day, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.